na 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 yo 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 no 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 no.
Okay, recording.
Yeah. So we are we are in the middle of the second paragraph, page Yud Dalet. The line begins B'kiruv. B'kiruv shemar le'ponim bi'ahava b'kiruv hashpa osei.
So it's what? Kira? The Kira?
In further understanding the principle of Rotzev V'Shuv, the Rebbe says the Rotzev V'Shuv are essentially the midas of Ahava and Yira. Rotzev is Ahava and Shuv is Yira. Ahava, there is an element of Ahava that comes because of a kiruv to Elokus. What is a kiruv de Elokus? Not kiruv to Elokus. Kiruv de Elokus. The kiruv that Elokus provides and extends. That brings about Ahava. And he gives the motion that how is the union of Ahava developed here, so to speak, into human Ahava. Ahava is the result of a special attention and benefiting one another through with special attention that evokes Ahava on the part of the Ohava, part of the one who receives this attention. Okay. What, man?
Ask you a favor.
Yeah.
Could you start again?
Yeah.
Thanks. I had it spinning. I had it spinning on my head today.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm trying.
All right. So we are talking about Rotzev V'Shuv, and further to elaborate on Rotzev V'Shuv, the Rebbe says that Rotzev V'Shuv, I'm starting over again by a special request of a special member. And the unit for Rotzev V'Shuv is also in Ahava V'Yira. In terms of midas, is Ahava V'Yira. Ahava is the Rotzu, where one is coming or going out himself and seeking to connect, and Yira is the Shuv, is a staying away. Discussing Ahava, Rebbe is saying the Ahava, there is an element of Ahava. This is not exclusive, but Ahava, there is an element of Ahava that is aroused and developed as a result of special affection, special attention. That if somebody is bestowing some kind of a goodness and kindness, and he's doing that b'kiruv, he's not doing it perfunctorily, so to speak, just dutifully, but he's doing it with special kiruv, with special attention, showing an element of closeness. That evokes an element of ahava on the part of the recipient of that attention. And this is where we're up to now inside here. Bekiruv, the line begins Bekiruv. Well, if you go back to the previous line, the end of the previous line, but Kol Zehu, Bekiruv. This entire hashpor, that he said that is hashpor gashmius, that he does kindness to him and helps him out, and there's hashpor ruchnius, that's such as hashpoas haseichel and such like. Kol Zehu Bekiruv. This entire interrelationship is Bekiruv, is with closeness, with special attention, which means Shemar Leponim, that he actually relates to him. The translation of the word Mar Leponim, he's showing him a face. But essentially it means he is relating to him be'ava, v'kiruv b'hashpa'osei. B'tahava, with love and affection, v'kiruv and closeness b'hashpa'osei, through and while the hashpa'os. And then in parentheses briefly, ukmoi. Somebody has forgotten to mute their phone. We'll ask you to do that now, please. Ukmoi, and as the expression in the Gemara is, Hamafaiso mizborech biyudal. Somebody who gives tzedakah to an oni has X number of brachas. Hamafaiso, but the one who is mefai is the oni who consoles his pain, that fact that he is an oni, the poor, and he is in such a difficult situation. Mizborach b'yudalev, he gets 11 brachas. This piyus is greater than even the gift itself, because it shows a concern and a closeness to him. Kuli harei ze goyreim. That closeness and that attention brings out the love and the connection from the beloved to him, to the one who bestows should be beho'ohu probably. Yeah. The vekus to the lover, a love by the one who is receiving that affection, by the beneficiary of that affection. Ubifrat, and then moreover, kasher yodei yamalus ha'ohu. When he knows the mile of the special status and special quality, the supreme quality of the oihei, or the ohuv, of the one that he is going to respond to ahava. V'hashpo osoi, and his hashpo, nase hakira b'yoser, then that affects the closeness even more. V'chofetz me'oid b'hiskarvusei v'hashpo osoi elop, and he wants very much, he desires very strongly this closeness and the hashpor that he gets from him. This is the principle of ahava. Now, just to discuss this very briefly, because taking it as face value in the way we read it, it seems almost self-serving. That the ahava is not genuine. There is not a real affection, not real consideration and recognition. It is simply self-serving because I'm benefiting. I'm appreciating, what am I appreciating? I'm appreciating the benefit, not the benefactor. I'm appreciating the benefit. That may be interpreted from this presentation here. However, we are talking about ahava, a mido, a real neshama, nefesh quality of ahava, where there isn't any kind of, so to speak, of political calculation of receiving benefit. It's a plain and pure human human condition, human response. And this condition, there is a genuine condition because the mashpia, the one who is bestowing upon him this kindness and who is showing him this closeness, is also doing it without any particular personal calculation. He is bestowing upon him this kindness because he wants to benefit him. And the closeness that he shows him, is both. On the one hand, there is the first step is that the closeness is due to his concern for his benefit, and the closeness is also part of the encouragement, part of the inspiring element, that when a person knows that there is someone who is concerned about him, who has a feel for him, that itself gives him and inspires him, lifts him up, gives him an uplift. And this results in a quality, in a midah called ahava. Just let's briefly examine what is this midah ahava. And I'd like to see, just briefly, we should focus in and distinguish that from a statement, oh, I love ice cream. Because that word is used in all kinds of different circumstances and denotes completely different qualities. Clearly, everyone understands that loving ice cream is not ahava, it's not love. Because one doesn't even love the ice cream, like we said before. He loves the taste of ice cream. In this case, it would mean I love the benefit that I'm getting from him. It's not a question of ahava to the person at all. But we say that there is an ahava to the ohuv, to the person. And the proof is in the fact, this enhances the genuine quality in this, that when he knows the milah of the person who is benefiting him, then he has even a greater ahava to him. What is if the response is only due to the personal benefit? What's the difference who he gets the benefit from? And what his status is? Makes no difference. And then furthermore, what's the significance of the other person showing him a kiruv and a concern? The benefit itself. You say thank you, I'm benefiting from it. And I want to get into it because otherwise we are just going to miss the whole point. Because of the coarseness of the world we live in. The midah of ahava, which Chassidus speaks a lot, and it's one of the finest midos that there are in a human being can have. In order to just understand it a little bit, we have to examine our own worldly view, and then we'll find where we are misunderstanding things. When we perceive two people as two separate entities, having nothing inherently connected, inherently binding them, inherently uniting them. In two separate worlds. This one lives in his daladamas, in his little world, in his body. This one is in his body. So when this one approaches this one, it's like one rock approaching another rock. And this rock says, are you going to hit me, or are you going to be nice to me? If you're going to hit me, I'm going to run away, and if you're going to be nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you back. Because they're two separate entities. So therefore, I'm involved in myself, I'm interested in myself, you're interested in yourself. And the whole concern is, what is your closeness and your recognition of my presence going to do to me? If it's going to be good, so I'm going to accept it. If it's going to be negative, I'm going to reject it. Okay? Unfortunately, this is a prevalent view. And again, unfortunately, the psychologists are absolutely promoting this view. And gentlemen, it's a total lie. That is not what happens amongst human beings. Human beings are chayes, that's called chayes, we always call them chayes, are living human. They're living in a human way. They're not reacting in a human way. This is their life. They live like human beings. They look at things like human beings. How do human beings look at things? So this is the principle that we're speaking about all the time. The Rambam says, the very beginning of human perception is that there's a first being that gives presence to everything. It is his truth that is represented in everything that exists. And therefore, there's an inherent. You want to fill it up again?
No.
And it is in his truth that everything exists. And like we always point out, that we human beings, we relate to the visible aspect of a worldly presence rather than the tangible aspect. The tangible aspect is where we are two separate entities. I know you because, hey, my hand is moving and it can't move any further. You're interfering with my movement, so I know you're there. That's a tangible aspect. The visible aspect is a totally different experience. This visible is I'm seeing it because it's part of the reality in which I myself am present. Completely different phenomenon. The human being sees things from a truth perspective. The reason he recognizes that things exist is because he knows that there's a truth behind it. There's a real truth, a true presence, true existence. And this is the basis for seeing everything that he sees. Ahava Okay? So, this which we discuss now, this is the seichel, this is the highest, this is a seichel perspective of that truth. Now there is the midas perspective of that truth, the emotional perspective of that truth. The midas of a human being are reflective also of his seichel, and reflective of the primary truth that he recognizes. He recognizes, I said, the primary truth is that he recognizes that there is a primary truth. That's the first element of the human being. Then there is seichel, and then there is midas. These midas are also totally dependent on this recognition of this primary truth. So that this closeness that this person shows to him, this closeness makes every sense to him. This is not something, a closeness from Mars, from a totally unrelated entity. This is a closeness that represents the overall truth of reality as he knows it, from reality. Except there is this the way he sees it, he knows it on seichel. I said seichel, we always say that there's in the purest, the objective level, and then there is how he experiences on the subjective level. What is he experiencing? Not a selfish, self-promoting, self-benefiting element. He's experiencing a truth in his life. And this is Ahava. And we all know very well that only a truthful person, only a fine person can really experience Ahava. A self-serving person, this is all, he's like a rock, he doesn't have Ahava. He knows things from, I don't have to elaborate, that's all too clear, all too clear in our world. So this Ahava we're talking Ahava, the real Ahava element, a human element, reflective of the truth of his soul, of the truth of his perception, of the truth of existence, of reality. Except this is on a subjective level, yes, it's his personal thing. But it's true. It's his truth. As a matter of fact, while I'm on it, I want to make an interesting point. Chassidus, particularly Chassidus Chabad, is heavy on the union of seichel. And we all understand seichel is the highest human quality. Through seichel, we always point out what seichel is, not the silly secular seichel. Seichel, human seichel, and because seichel is really dependent on this recognition of this truth. Seichel is taking this truth in a pure way, an objective way, and really very, very a supreme quality. So therefore, seichel is really the prime human quality, the prime human status. But then, on the other hand, we speak about midas all the time, especially we're reading Ayin all the time about birur hamidas, have good emotive qualities. Good, how is it translated over there? Character traits. How is that compared to seichel? Why are we promoting and emphasizing the character traits? Midas status. Lahadul, Elef Havdalas, Midas status, you can train somebody, act this way and so forth. we know all too well, and you know the superficial and the false element in this. Here is the explanation. Midas Tevis are enormously significant because Midas Tevis means that you have gotten with your seichel to recognize a truth, and that truth permeated your entire being. It isn't only that you know it, but ultimately, just as in seichel level, we spoke about it the other day, that das brings about the seichel, just as in seichel level. The primary truth the human being essentially knows, unless they blind his mind and he becomes completely oblivious to his personal view of the truth. That he knows that there is a motzur rishi mamche kol nimtza that is granted. But then to bring it out into seichel, that they should become das, like Ram says, das, to know this, and then it should come down in the seichel. That's a whole avodah. To bring this down into midas is even more difficult. Is even more taxing, more challenging.
More taxing than bringing it
into seichel.
Mm-hmm.
Midas means that it permeates the entire person.
Can you review one more time this concept that you started off saying that it's a human quality to have midas. So you explain it only comes from the seichel, that we are not separate entities, and another human experience with that perceiving level of seichel, and then it goes into midas. Can you just review this, because I just like Akiva, I have the same situation here.
I could send you to
Yona?
to Yona. He should replay it. But,
okay, so
but I'll tell you, the Gemara says, "Beis hamedrash b'lei chidush." When you recreate it and present, re-represent, there's always a new perception, a new insight that comes up. Essentially, I wanted, and I don't mind doing it because I'm sure she's new to many people. I want them to understand the word ahava the way Chassidus means ahava, because it really is something which is elusive. You learn ahava, and the Tanya speaks about ahava, v'yira, avos Hashem, yiras Hashem. These are the primary qualities, the primary qualities of avodas Hashem. And one of the greatest things that we say, it's only a tzaddik. That's what it says. Only a tzaddik can reach madriga of avos Hashem. A Beinoni, he perhaps, if he's lucky, can reach it in the highest moments of his avodah in the middle of davening. That's what it says in time.
In Pesach cleaning, he can't reach it?
Pesach cleaning, yes, he can reach it, Baruch. Okay, and after Pesach cleaning, we'd like you to report to us what it means to have Ava and Yira. So, excuse me. So I'm going to explain it. Just as in Seichel, we discuss this all the time. Seichel is not the Chitzonis HaSeichel. Like 1 and 1 is not 1 and 1, but 1 on is 2. because there's a pre-misdik a relationship, a pre-misdik truth to us. Midas, likewise, at a different level, a more subjective level, also represent that principal truth. Real ahava, in the real sense of the word, is only possible if a person recognizes that his whole mitzvah, he is not just a standalone entity. He is part of the godly truth. This is the only way that he can have the opening up, the sense, the ahava, the kindness and the purity of the Nishon in ahava and Yira. Whether it is ahava Hashem or even ahava to another human being. To have ahava for another human being, that other, please follow this, that other human being has to be real, to not be an imaginary presence. In other words, he is not present only because he is benefiting in some way. That's not a real presence. That's an imaginary presence. Like I said, loving ice cream. He is real because there is a truth, the godly truth that brings him into being. That is what this is the basis. This is the not only the basis. This is the feel of ahava. And this is that truth in a midas level. Just like in Seichel. Seichel exists. What is Seichel is the godly truth on the Seichel level. Midas is the godly truth on the Midas. The Seichel level is a higher and purer level than the Midas level. But there is a tremendous mile in terms of accomplishment of self-purification when it goes into Midas, because it means that this truth has permeated the entire being of this person. It's not just in his seichel. And this is why the Chassidus explains that seichel, purifying seichel, is more readily accessible to more people than midas. Midas is more difficult. This is why Chassidus Council talks about birur hamidas. Birur hamidas. It's a very, very taxing task. Ahava, we're discussing Ahava. He says, this which the Rebbe is describing over here, that there is a benefactor and there is a skarvus. This is the chitzonius of it. This is the kelim for the Ahava. This is not his response to this benefit. The benefit opens him up, and he actually recognizes their relationship in the form of ahava. This is ahava.
The love is kind of beyond expression in a way.
Why do you say that? What makes you say that?
Well, because like some kind of hashpah or some kind of expression is not really.
The hashpah.
It's an expression of the love, but it's not actually the love.
If you mean to say that love cannot be described in words, yes. Because, as I said, because it's an element of godly truth in this. This is midas on nefesh. This is neshama in them. But this is also on the human level. Seichel, even seichel is on the human level. provided that we have that we recognize the primary human recognition of the godly truth, then that opens up seichel, that we have real seichel and we have real midas eventually.
Are we saying that this real seichel is also necessary from the side of Makabel, or just he senses the love, he senses the affection that arouses a direct human response, like sort of seichel aside, or are we saying
No, not seichel aside. Without seichel, there cannot be real midas. If a person perceives himself in his seichel as truly stand-alone entity in a world in a jungle of a big bang, result of some accidental big bang, result of big bang, there cannot be out.
Right.
There cannot be. There's nothing, no basis for this. And our friends, the psychologists, and the theories and all those say, yes, there is no such thing as ahava.
It can only be a contract or a reaction.
Yeah, there is. It's benefit. You benefit from this. It's a personal benefit. I mean, it's totally. It
Right.
makes you throw up when you read their descriptions.
Right.
It's absolutely insane. It's idiotic.
Right. Now what? And on the side of, let's say, a child or a baby feels his mother's warmth in a way.
It's all self-promoting.
That's
The
not.
child is reacting because the child was uncomfortable and mommy made it comfortable. This is what we are learning in the Gemara says, that really those levels are really not those human qualities. This is still instinctive. But when he grows up a little bit, then he has it in his seichel. This is mommy. This is my tati. This is my mommy. It's a completely different concept. Completely different concept.
So, okay, that being said, why when we started today, the Kiruv, and that he shows his face, that this arouses in the student a response? I mean, it seems like we've just gone to great lengths to explain the opposite, that it's not reactive. But here it seemed like...
No, it's not reactive. It's revealing. It's revealing that quality. Just like seichel versus the initial truth. He knows the truth, like this. So knows. That's a remote knowledge. Then when he focuses into this and tries to understand, with his seichel, this thing, then he opens up a new world in terms of human perception.
And so
to me this is only revealing the fact that he is coming close to me. This reveals to him, hey, we are really one thing. That is the response. That is the ahava.
Right. Yep.
I'm sorry, I missed this going from the baby to what you're talking about now.
Okay, but the baby also has this instinctive response to mommy who benefiting him or her or it, however you want it. At that point, it's a nit. He doesn't have seichel, doesn't know who it is. Just responding instinctively. But then the Gemara says the seichel, the actual das to know that this is mommy and tati, that comes later. At that point, that's already a human thing. It's not instinctive. It's knowing this mommy and tati. That's real knowledge. So
this is the Tam Dogan?
You're
talking about the thing of the Tam Dogan?
Tam Dogan, that's what the Gemara says. Yedeya Tam Dogan. Yedeya Nikos Habu Ema Shitem Tam Dogan. What level is this? He knows mommy and tati, he knows the benefit way before that. We discussed this recently a lot. At that point, his seichel begins to open up. This is the same thing. This ahava, this affection, and this closeness he shows him, this reveals to him the element of closeness, the truth of their relationship, and that actually creates the ahava, or reveals the ahava, reveals the truth that relates them.
The closeness that Hashem shows to Ayin?
Well, right now we're talking in the mashal. The closeness that one person shows another. As he says in the mashal, a mashpia to him, kindness and goodness, mashpia to him, seichel, whatever it is, that closeness is due to an inherent relation, inherent unity. And that arouses, that reveals by the recipient that true perception.
That true perception is a seichel-based midah.
Right. You could call it seichel-based midah. It is not seichel-based. It is based really on that which is higher than seichel. So the primary knowledge, the primary relationship to the truth. You know that seichel is based on and the midas are based on. As a matter of fact, midas are even more revealing of that element than seichel.
Or more revealing of the love?
No, of that primary truth.
More revealing because they are like the proof that it's gone through and through.
That's right. Then it becomes real. Now, seichel, I understand the Ayin. It's not the same as I feel it. I live it.
Once something's in das, it's not automatically going to affect all the midas.
No, nothing is automatic. Das provides for midas.
I thought das is where things become completely real. That becomes the reality that a person is inhabiting.
You have to know a very important principle on the human and the human being. Nothing happens automatically.
Fine. So
everything is intentional.
He's done his avodah to get to the level of das intentionally.
No, even after that.
His midas
don't come automatically.
Don't comply with his reality.
No. They comply with reality if he goes into midas.
He still has to bring it further.
He has to bring the seichel out and bring the midas out.
Das is not automatic. Das is not like. I just have the impression das becomes your actual internal reality.
This is a very tasty drink.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to go into your mouth automatically?
No. So das is still like seichel. It's not through and through yet.
Das is the no. It is through and through on seichel level. Now he has to go further. Nothing happens automatically. This is why we say that the rotzein permeates and is everywhere. Everywhere. And the real power that connects all the various levels is Rotzen. And Rotzen is connected through the element of Das, actually it's called. It's a little bit complicated here. But it's not. The point is, nothing is automatic. We are nothing by us happens. It's not that the sun gives off light involuntarily. No such thing. You cannot take a step involuntarily.
And even though Ratzon is everywhere, still the midas don't necessarily get that. They don't get the signal.
The midas get that if they get opened up to it.
Which requires this intentionality, this working on it.
First he has to read, and that's no question. Yes. If a person does not want, nothing will make sense to him.
But here it seems like he can even want it, and yet his
No, no.
Midas
Rotzen-
are running
no, no. If he
elsewhere.
wants it, if he has the primary thing, he has all the various exposures of the das element, and he wants this to permeate, then it'll permeate. But that's intentional wanting. This is why we always say, and there's much more about it, but just this principle that seichel depends on the rotzen. If you don't want to understand, you will not understand. Because the whole principle, it makes sense, as we discussed not long ago, means I can relate to it in my rotzen. That's what it means, makes sense, primarily. I would like to ask somebody to refill this.
Is it urn over here?
It's right over there. I'm sure people want it. Okay. Okay.
It's all based on Ratzon. So this concept of love that we're talking about, it's all comes, intellect comes from Ratzon, which
Right.
consequently,
The based on Rotzen is not even correct. Rotzen is the living human being. It's not kind of based on.
okay.
You know, it is it. You know, it's like saying this whole home and all the walls are based on the space that we occupy. It's not based. It is the space. Okay, thanks a lot.
Can you say that in different words? Based, the house is based on the space? I don't understand what you mean by that.
The house is not based on the space. House is an area a space that is demarcated by a wall.
It's not defined by the space?
What?
Is that what you mean? But based on,
It's not based on the space. Based means
it doesn't come from,
I imagine there is such thing as space who can build. No, I don't imagine. It has to be real. It is there. Okay, that's maybe a little bit of play on word. Okay, so now we are a little bit below the middle of that paragraph. The line begins Kulhi.
And the whole point of this discussion of Ava was to understand the Rotsu aspect of Rotsu V'shuv.
Yes, that's the Ava is brought down over here to explain Rotsu. Right now we're talking about Ahava, not about Rotsu. Eventually we'll get back to Rotsu. The Kmei Kein Hu Ba'avoido. So we said the Moshe from Ahava. The Ahava is aroused and brought out by some kind of a special closeness and any kind of hashpoah of benefiting, bequeath something from one to the other. And then there are different levels of their relationship, and it says particularly if the benefactor is of special quality, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that if a person reflects a melech god, a great king, the emperor comes down and picks him up from his gutter and brings him into his palace and washes his thanks and so forth. This opens up the simpleton tremendous affection to the king. Ahava. Again, there too we have to understand this affection is not self-serving. It's real affection. Okay, let's continue. But the similar Inyan is an avodah. Our time is up. The kashem is boinen behakir of the alakus eloilames. that when one reflects on the closeness, kiruv elokus Elohim, the closeness that Elokus had come to the world. Bebchinas hislapshus. Here, I really want that to discuss every point, hopefully in Mitzvah Shem. Bebchinas hislapshus. In a hislapshus manner. What does hislapshus manner mean? We already basically, have discussed this. Hislapshus means in simple terms it means getting involved. But it's not getting involved just with that particular person. Hislapshus means descending to that person, descending to that level. Literally experiencing that level and then giving it its benefit. Hislapshus in a mashal is that when someone wants to help somebody or wants to teach him something, in order to teach him, like we're going to learn later on, that in order to actually arrive to give over a seichel to a talmid, he has to experience the talmid's condition. The talmid's condition is that the talmid is totally oblivious of this seichel. If the Rab is going to take any assumption, is going to give him the seichel the way he sees it, the talmid is not going to benefit at all. He's not going to be able to relate to it. Therefore, the Rab has to experience it. That's what hislapshus. He has to stoop down and experience total oblivion, total ignorance of this seichel. And then from there, makes him on par with the Talmud. And now he says, okay, now let's try to learn it together. But the Rab, of course, has the resource by which he can recall the seichel. But he's recalling it from that level where he is at now, together with the Talmud. This is called hislapshus. Hislapshus means that he goes down and experiences your position, your experience. And from there he begins to deal with it. So Lakus came down in the world, hislapshus. It was mislavish in the world, which means that it actually related to the world at its lowest level. That's one more word and then we'll be fully understand it. The hislapshus. B'lachayosom, to enliven them. The great gift of a lakus to the world is not creating the rocks and not creating the bodies. The great gift of a lakus in the world is to give it chayas. Lachayosom. To give chayas to a lifeless body means that the chayas has to descend and be able to relate to lifelessness and bring life to it. That's what hislapshus. If he stays alive exclusively, doesn't know what lifelessness is, then he won't be able to give life to the body. He will be aloof. Like we discussed the sunlight. How does sunlight illuminate our dark world? We said that the sun gives us more than just illuminating the dark world. But it also it starts off by illuminating the dark world. How does it illuminate the dark world? It comes down into darkness, and there it becomes not light, but becomes a tangible light, an energy. which is a light energy. And from that, this is the deflected. And this is how we begin light. As we always explain this, we get from the sun much more than the energy. But in order to get whatever we get, we have to start from this lowest level, where light is not light at all. It's a piece of it's energy. It's light energy. That's what is slapshus. So Elokus came down into the world. Behislapshus lahachayoso, to give them life. Okay, so we are, kind of at our border over here. Just want to make this point. The significance of our life, the significance, where are we really living in our world, the way the Rebbe, the world that the Rebbe created, that the Rebbe gave us. It is in recognizing of the Chayus, not of the Keli, of the Chayus. That's the Rebbe's presence. Even though in the Chayus descends at our level, but we have to recognize the Chayus of as it is mislavish in the level. That box over there has a red color. Now, the scientist will tell you, what red is? Red has a certain chemical ingredient, blah, 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 and it appears red. That is light energy being mislavish in Gashmis. But what is the point there is that it should look red. Red is recognized only by a living entity. Red is recognized only with life, with a seichel. The hand doesn't recognize that is holding a red box. The highest is what is what is being given to the human. I gave him an example of a color. Sometimes we have color blindness. Nobody should think that there is something lacking. But the main thing is an example. The highest means the fine element, the intangible element. That is the real thing that is the Elokus in the world. And the Elokus in the world that descended to that level, that it relates to the lowest Gashmiziki level, and there you should recognize, there is a highest, there's an intangible element. That is the kindness and the affection that the Elokus shows to the world. Okay, and with this we have to interrupt. Right? I know it's not easy, but I have no choice. Just want to mention maybe one. That this is Verbringen 770 tonight in honor of Yud Aleph Nissan, which is an extremely significant day for us and for the whole world, as a matter of fact. We shall help from that the spirit and the strength that comes with this day should benefit all of us, the Gashmis and the Ruchnis.
Amen.
Wow.
I have a l'chaim here.
I'm sorry?
I have a l'chaim here. You want to put it on the table?
Yeah, put it on the table. Put it on the table. We'll do it. We'll say l'chaim after Ma'ariv. Otherwise, who knows? We'll fly away.
Ratsu without the shuv.
David Dabine is sponsoring this week's Fabringen, and
Especially those wine.
Yehuda
Yeah, wine.
Foster is hosting this week's Fabringen. It's at
No, 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 no.